Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back for today's message. And oh my gosh, I'm excited about this one. You guys, I have had some major traction in the navigation of transforming toxic dynamics. And for me, this has happened in a number of fronts. You guys know my last message I shared regarding some transformation I was having in intimate partnership and friendship. And today I have just had, I've been navigating a lot of this stuff and waking up to a lot of this stuff and the toxicity of environments and my co-creation, what my part of has been in those co-creations. And I have had some major success in something that I've been navigating, and I want to talk to you guys about that today. So my particular journey with this one, I'm going to share with you what has helped me navigate the transition from a toxic dynamic and playing an old, really worn out old role. This is in particular relation to my relationship with my siblings and their partners and their children, so my nieces and nephews as well. So I definitely can't wait to share this one with you guys. I hope it resonates. I want to hear from you guys. I'd love to hear your journey, your experiences, how you may have felt completely stuck in any sort of toxic, outdated dynamic, and maybe you've given up hope. Maybe like me in my journey, I just kind of reached a point where I thought, I actually just don't think there's anything that I can do about this, and maybe I just need to silently retreat out of this. And I know that that ain't the healthiest way, and I know that that perpetuates our patterns, and we don't actually get closure, and we actually end up recreating the same toxic dynamics in future relationships when we do that silent retreat. So not a silent retreat like a healthy one. I'm talking about like silently retreating, from expressing your truth with clarity and creating closure and taking responsibility for your own personal co-creation in any toxic dynamic. Okay, so this one's going to be a really good one for any of you who have found yourself in any sort of toxic dynamic. So when I talk about a toxic dynamic, what I'm really referring to is, the lack of health in a relationship. It might be between you and one other person. It might be you being part of any group. And basically what makes it toxic is when it's detrimental to your own sense of well-being or the well-being of others in that group. It diminishes your self-esteem. Maybe the worst of you comes out. Maybe you feel like you can't be all of who you are in those dynamics. There's a lack of truth, there's manipulation, there's all sorts of things that can impact us on an individual, on a human level, on a soul level, and basically we don't want to be part of any of those dynamics, and I'll tell you why. If you're a part of dynamics where people don't value you, don't respect you, treat you poorly, what's actually happening is if you allow that to happen, you're basically agreeing with their estimation of you, okay? And what happens when you agree with a low estimation as to who you are, what happens is you're sending a message to yourself that's saying that you deserve this low standard of treatment, and you actually only accept and allow a low estimation of who you are when you actually believe that to be true. And that continuing in that dynamic actually reinforces to yourself that you can't achieve your dreams, you're not worthy of good treatment and love and depth in any of your connections. There is a whole smorgasbord of really negative effects by staying in a toxic environment. Now, the one I want to share with you guys today, and I can see a few people here already. So we've got Peter and Trina and Dee Marie and Maria and Tricia. And good evening to you, Maria, and good morning to you, Trisha. I love we're all spread over across the world. So awesome to have you guys here. And I love co-creating this space with you. So please do share your experiences, everything that's going on in your life, any experiences that you have really been successful in navigating toxic partnerships and relationships and groups, and where you might be struggling. All right, so contribute to the conversation. Can't wait to hear from you guys. And as always, I check in once I have this little rant and share some personal parts of my journey in the hope that it connects with you and helps you become aware of what's going on in your life and some really healthy shifts and changes you could have in your perspective and your actions moving forward. All right, so here's my example. So oftentimes the hardest relationships to shift from toxicity to health, from my experience, have been the ones that have stood the longest test of time, right? Usually your family relationships, okay? Because you particularly, so in my experience, I'm the youngest in my family. I'm the only girl in my family. It came with its benefits and simultaneous drawbacks. You know, the benefits were I was always looked after and taken care of and protected and given attention and all those sorts of things. The drawbacks, though, were that I've been treated as naive, or just, you know, this poor little girl, she's so naive and she doesn't see, you know, anything that, you know, could be dangerous or whatever, and not really taken seriously, okay? And so basically what's happened for me with my family relationships, I've navigated my relationships with my parents massively over the years. And I'm grateful to say that those dynamics are the healthiest they've ever been. And we have transitioned from child-adult relationship to adult-adult relationship with a lot of value, a lot of respect, a lot of openness, a lot of transparency. And I'm very grateful for those dynamics. With my older siblings, however, so I've got two older brothers, those relationships had never transitioned from the role that they and the narrative they had about who I am, right? And I'm a very different person to who I was, 20, 30 years ago, right? Obviously. And basically what happened was I'd reached this point where I just kind of resigned silently out of those connections and not really involved myself in them, because I realized that, well, my perception was that they were never going to see me any different than that little girl. They were never going to respect or value me or support me on my journey. It was very different to theirs. And I just kind of accepted that that's the level that those relationships are going to be at, and I'm just not going to engage more energy and effort into those dynamics than is healthy, right? And that was my perspective, and I just had kind of resigned from that. But what actually happened recently was about a month ago. What happened was a family member one of my sister-in-laws actually, okay, so she commented on a post, and she had never before commented on any of my posts over the last 8 years of me doing this work. Although I knew that she and other family members watch all this content, read all my content, never supported or even put a like on it or whatever, but they're privy to all my personal information that I share so publicly. And I know this because they have expressed and had conversations about my my sharings that they wouldn't have otherwise known if they hadn't have engaged in my content, right? And so I just kind of accepted that they don't support it. That's okay. I'm still doing my own thing. Use it for growth, all the rest of it. I don't need them to validate me in order to pursue my pathway and whatever, right? And so, but what happened was a month ago, one of my sister-in-laws commented really aggressively and negatively towards something that I'd shared regarding the whole pandemic right now and the conflict and division between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated, right? And so basically it was a really aggressive message, and I know her, I've known her for 20 years, right? And so what I tried to do at that point was, kind of respond amicably and clearly and try and get us to a point where we could actually have an open conversation, because we're on different perspectives for what was right. And I love different perspectives. I want to learn from yours, right? And you could wake me up to something that I might be blind to, right? And so as you guys know, I'm somebody with massive growth mindset, and I love the challenge of difference. But that's not across the board. I'm sure you guys watching a video like this, you're probably pretty much like me in that regard. Otherwise, you wouldn't like these messages, I guess. But basically, at that time, that happened, and then this person's mother actually got engaged, and she's also a very aggressive person. That there's been a lot of history in family dynamics where certain people have just removed themselves from the toxic connection that was being at place there, right? Anyway, that kind of got me thinking more about how I probably shouldn't have people privy to what I perceive to be me sharing my heart and soul in these sort of messages to people. I felt like, I shouldn't probably give them access to that if they have proven over a long period of time that they don't actually support me. In fact, I know they judge me and talk badly about me behind my back. I should probably just remove them, right? But I felt awkward, right? The people pleasing came out. Like, I didn't want to create unnecessary conflict, and I just thought, I'll just use this for me. I don't care whatever other people want to do with what's true for me. That's up to them, right? It's no reflection on me. So that's how I kind of dealt with it. But it happened again. A couple of days ago, I put out another post that was articulating, this, like, the getting out of the division and the coming together of people on a human level, right? Rather than this person's got a different opinion to me and then just, taking sides, and the division and the segregation and all the disgusting stuff that has happened. This is not new. This has happened throughout human history in very dark ways, right? And I believe in coming together. We don't have to agree, but we do have to come to respect and value and honor our differences, okay? And anyway, this person's mum, who has had total disregard for me and never had respect or value for me the whole 20 years that I've known her, she commented something that was very directly basically attacking myself and other people in my family who take the same position as me in a very harsh way, actually, right? And I just saw this and I was like, that's my message from the universe, because I was actually distracting myself from removing people from my Facebook and my social media platforms and so forth. I was actually distracting myself from doing that by creating that actual content. So how's that for funny? And basically, and then, as we always do, we get a message from the universe, which was, hey, stop distracting yourself with this. And here's another reason why you need to take action in the realm that you know to be the right thing to do, right? So basically, that was my call to go, yeah, this is the time. There's no better time than now to remove these people from my environment, right? Now, what actually ended up happening is when I did that, my sister-in-law, within hours, or I think it was the following day, she realized that I had removed her access to watching any of my content or engaging in any of my content, right? And she was very upset about it, and I can understand that, right? Like, if you realize somebody's removed their access from your content or from their content or whatever, it can be like, oh my gosh, like, what's happened here? And you can get worked up about it, right? And basically it was like a really big thing, and she was trying to call me and my brother was trying to call me, and all this drama was happening, and every family member was getting called and everything, right? And I knew instinctively from experience this far in having to instill boundaries that basically, yes, I absolutely have to communicate openly, and it's not healthy to just cut people without explanation or any closure at all. So I took responsibility for that. I also realized I'm not going to communicate until I am in a very clear, healthy, centered state where I can truly show up and express from a place of centeredness and certainty and love, and hold space for whatever this person's response may be, right? And I knew I wasn't there yet. I needed to sleep on it. I needed to do my journaling. I needed to get my own clarity and then be able to communicate and see what comes about from that. And I also knew, do not ever engage with people when they're in a reactive state. All right, that's not your responsibility. No matter if you feel like you're guilty or you did something wrong or poor them or whatever, you need to make sure that if you hold a high standard for the quality of connection that you want with that person, then you never engage in the drama that is a reactivity from any action, okay? Because all you end up doing is they're playing the victim. In this certain case, my sister-in-law was in the victim position, my brother was trying to be the rescuer and sort it all out, and I was being placed as in the persecutor role, right? And I refused to even take part in that. And for me, I knew intuitively, I need to sleep on this, they need to sleep on this. I will get to that place of communication, and then I will be very clear and honest about that. And anyway, so that's what I did. I'm very grateful that that's how I played it, because the next day, I was receiving some more calls and text messages and whatever, and gauging them as quite frantic, quite reactive, quite aggressive at the time. So I just knew it's not the time right now, and to take that time for myself. I got clarity, and actually what came out was, it wasn't at all like the comments on Facebook, like what does that matter, right? They were literally just the pushes and the nudges to say, hey, you're not resolving this dynamic, all right? And it doesn't work to just try and remove yourself silently, okay? And so what I ended up doing, and what came out from me, and what felt right and what was my truth, was I ended up just writing out a letter and directing this letter to both of my brothers and both of their partners. And I spoke the truths that had never been spoken for the past 20 years of over the last 20 years in particular, where I felt like the toxicity of the dynamics had really been created, and I was continuing to play that role, right? And remember what I said at the beginning, when you allow lack of respect, lack of value, lack of support, basically what you're doing is you're agreeing with those people's estimations of you, okay? And so I had to own my responsibility that I'd never challenged their perception of me. I'd never challenged and said, hey, this is not okay, and this is how I'd like to be treated, and this is the quality of connection that I'd like to have you. I'd never done that, right? Because this is coming from me being a young teenager, right? And all the way till now, and unquestioned and perpetuating the same dynamics. And I had a bit of a fixed mindset around it, and just thought, they're never going to change. If they can't respect or value me, I'm just removing myself, right? And that wasn't actually resolving the problem properly. And so basically, with this letter, I had no attachment, no expectation to how anybody was going to respond. I felt it was the best avenue to communicate my full experience, my full truth, that was loving, that was truthful and honest, that was clear on all the different aspects that had created toxicity. My part fully owning those things as well, and basically I sent that letter individually to each of these people, and I was shocked by the response, actually. So my relationship with my sister-in-law, who originally, we had a little bit of conflict with, I couldn't be more blown away by her response to everything that I said. She took full ownership for herself and her mother's behavior. She solidified that absolutely it would be a good idea for me to remove her mother from access to any of my information, because she said it was definitely, disrespectful and toxic and whatever. She reflected to me how much she valued me, and was so upset and devastated that she could ever upset me. And basically we ended up having the most meaningful discussion we've ever had. It was filled of genuineness, truth. We clarified different things. We created a pathway forward with one another, all right? And so I didn't expect that at all, because I just expected that would just be like, okay, maybe she'd play the victim and maybe it was going to create some tension there, but I was done with it. My integrity said this is the only way forward. And then I had one of the other family members try and pull me back into the old patterns. And their way of doing that is to, make me a bit of a joke, not take me seriously, be demeaning, try and pull down my reputation to other family members who are very honest with me, so they show me this stuff, right? And it was just crystal clear that is not a dynamic that is going to become better. The only way that I could keep in connection with that person would be to perpetuate that same pattern, right? They're not willing to come on a growth journey with me. They're not willing to exit a toxic system. And basically, I just realized I didn't even tell you guys the title of today's message, which is, now it'll make more sense because I'm going to go into this aspect with you guys. But I said you have nothing to lose and everything to gain by removing your cog from a toxic system. Okay, so my relationships in a group environment with my siblings and their partners has always for the last 20 years it's been toxic, right? And basically from what I've just shared with you, they had a lack of value or respect for me, just kind of treated me a bit of a joke. And I went along with that, which was basically agreeing with their estimates of my value, which can be diminishing to my own self-esteem and my own belief in my potential and all that stuff that you have to have some really healthy boundaries around. And basically, I had kind of removed my cog from the system, but I did it silently and it didn't resolve the issue because nothing was voiced and nothing was changed. And so what I did differently was I have been working a lot on my own self and my own value and respect for myself. And gratefully, I have numerous amazing relationships in which those people value me, respect me. We have that mutual value and respect. We genuinely want the best for one another. And in comparison to having high quality connections like that with those toxic ones, I mean, you just won't settle for that anymore, right? So it's very important that you surround yourself with people who do value and respect you. But first of all, you have to have that value and respect for yourself, because you won't accept that goodness back to you. You'll accept to the level of what you believe about yourself, right? And so this to me is just a testament to my own personal growth in my own value and respect for myself, meeting my own needs and not fearing any loss, because I'm not losing anything. I've got everything to stand to gain by getting out of anything that's toxic. And so what I did, instead of just removing my dirty cog from the system without addressing what was dirty about it, which is basically what patterns did I co-create in this space that need to be resolved, clarified, communicated, and transformed, right, and transcended in a very conscious way. I didn't do that. I took the easy path of just removing myself, but not cleaning the cog. And by cleaning the cog, what I did was I did something a bit more challenging and difficult. I clearly articulated my perspective with love and no attachment and no expectation. And I courageously communicated that in the format that I knew would be the most intelligent, emotionally intelligent way to do that, so that they can hear me without getting defensive and argumentative. And then basically as a result, I either have closure, right? It's the pathway for closure with full integrity over who you are, right? With those who choose not to come on the healthy pathway and the transition out of the toxic system into a newly designed healthy one, right? It's the pathway for that, but it's also the pathway for growth and meaningful connection that you can co-create with those who choose to acknowledge and take responsibility also for their co-creation, and have a similar vision to you in terms of what you want to design in terms of that quality of that connection. So I had both results happen. I was able to, when I put this letter out there, it basically, without attachment, expectation, I'm done. I'm in full integrity. I have closure. I've owned my parts. I'm going to focus on making sure that I never repeat these patterns before. I'm going to keep my finger on the pulse, and whatever. I've resigned that other people don't have to change or do anything different for me to be okay. All right. So nothing to lose. And what I actually gained from that was such new opportunity for the quality of connection that I would ultimately want with my sister-in-law and one of my brothers. And I also clarified that in those other dynamics, so I kind of got a 50-50 result. And in those other dynamics, it just clearly solidified that they're never going to come on that journey with me. They're never going to value, respect, and honor our differences. They're never going to transform from the child and the big brother relationship to adult. How do we support each other? How do we deepen our connections, right? And so that's how it is. And I'm fully accepting of that. And I'm even super grateful because I totally wasn't expecting the result that I would get on that 50% of those dynamics. Okay, and so I'm sharing all of this with you guys because there is nothing more empowering than taking a stand for healthy, high-quality relationships, no matter what realm they are in your intimate partnerships, your friendships, your family relationships, which happen to be the most difficult to transform because you've known them all your life and they oftentimes haven't grown and evolved as you have as an individual, particularly I think if you're the youngest. That's been my experience and with people I've worked with as well. But, you know, any relationship and, you know, workplace relationships, all of it. Until you value, respect, honor yourself, meet your own needs, and no longer rely on anybody else to be a certain way for you to be okay, oftentimes your cog, you and your patterns are operating in very toxic, unhealthy dynamics. And look, we can try all day to try and change others so the system can be healthy, but I'm telling you right now, I'm sure you can agree, there's a deeper part of you that always knows this. The only thing that you have control over is your cog in the system and whether you choose to take it out, clean it, and create a whole new system with the invitations for other people to take their cogs, take responsibility for them, clean them up, and enter your system once they've proven to you that they are absolutely on that journey. Or you stay in that system and that's your choice. You're choosing to be in a toxic environment. And if you have too many attachments to staying in what you know to be toxic, create your pathway for growth so that you can exit it, okay? And what that pathway is going to be is you have to up-level your own relationship with yourself so that you no longer settle for toxicity so that you can just settle for scraps of connection, right? From people that do not value or respect you, okay? And so that's the journey I've been on. And I feel so empowered because of it. And if you're seeing a message like this, it means you made the cut as well, because, you know, I did for the first time ever do a bit of a cleanup and go, you know what, all those old school friends that I had, they don't, you know, we don't click. We're not on the same page. You know, we're not the same kind of people. They're gone, right? Family members that, you know, I've known a long time. Like, I just don't want all people privy to my personal information who don't respect it, right? And I know, how can I say that? Like, I put everything out so publicly, but it's true for me. And I want to. I'm not going to stop being all of who I am and sharing courageously and vulnerably. That's who I am, and that's what's important to me. But I am going to remove people who don't value or respect that. and it feels incredibly empowering to do so. I realized how many people I had connected and getting access and notified every time I had personal sharings going on, who really I don't want to have that information. Some pretty from toxic environments that I've been engaged with and connected with people who really aren't healthy or safe people to be really connected at that level with. So, you know, I'm on a whole new journey of boundaries, self-empowerment, not caring at all, you know, what other people's perceptions may be, and instead backing myself and being in full integrity and not having to justify or explain, and knowing that I've got nothing to lose and everything to gain by removing my cog from a toxic system, whether that's with one other person or a group. All right. And so my hope is that this sharing is empowering to each and every one of you guys. I want to just say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to have these meaningful conversations in a very respectful, valuing way. Thank you for contributing to these conversations with your authentic experiences, with your kindness, and when we differ on perspectives, your challenges, and we can get into debate. You know, we've got to cancel hate, but be open to debate, right? Like that's what my kind of motto at the moment is, you know, and I think that's super healthy. And I will say something else, because over the years, sometimes I've gotten people connecting with me or commenting or saying things that are just about my appearance, right? And I found it very kind of difficult to navigate that, right? Because on one hand, that's not what I'm here for, right? It's not about like just my appearance is what I'm trying to put out there, right? And on the other hand, I thought, oh, but that's how some people are kind, and they're just giving a compliment, and I should just receive that. And, you know, and maybe they'll come around, and maybe they'll then start to see that there's a real message of meaning here and whatever. And it's not been I haven't navigated it in the clearest way. And now I've reached this point where I realize, yeah, I think it can be something nice that we can give each other compliments about how we're looking, or, you know, you're looking healthy, or whatever, or I love your clothes, or whatever. We can give those compliments, but I've reached a point where I'm not. If that's all that the response is, I'm gonna just not engage anymore with that. Okay, I think it's really nice if you want to give a compliment like that. I receive it. I'm always grateful for any kindness, but let's make it that it's more about the meaning of the messages, and that's what I'm really here for. And yes, of course, I always do my hair and I always do my makeup, and I love everything beautiful. It inspires me, right? It's a way that I respect and honor myself. You know, I like to be at my best in every area, and basically I dress for how I feel, and it's an expression of who I am. Okay, and so that's the reason why I do that. It's not to try and get people to say that I'm beautiful or whatever. If you want to give those compliments and they're not just solely about appearance, then I'm all for it. But yeah, I'm not going to tolerate anymore. I just don't think it's healthy. It doesn't feel good to me to just get noticed based on what I might look like. And yeah, I've just noticed that it just leaves me feeling a bit empty, because it reinforces to me my past history, which basically left me with a limiting belief that my value was my appearance, right? That's what people saw in me, and that's what they valued in me. And you know what? Like, that's not what I'm here to do. That's me, my self-expression, and I'm here to be of value with perspective, you know, with heart, with understanding, you know, with transformation, with change and empowerment, and helping you reach your potential and break through and know your value, right? And so that's it. That's what I just wanted to say about that. I hope you guys can see that I'm just expressing and sharing with you guys that where I'm at in my life is very empowering, and it is very filled with boundaries that are healthy, and I want to say this last comment before I check in with you guys, because this is my biggest lesson right now, and you might relate to it. There's been a number of times when I have gotten to that point of courageously expressing with clarity what my truth is and what I no longer stand for and what I stand against. And I've had people, just like my sister-in-law yesterday, couldn't have worded it any better, right? The acknowledgement, the responsibility, the commitment to the growth, and all that beautiful stuff, right? And what my pattern of the past has been, oh, awesome, like we're on the same page and this is so amazing. And I've mistaken a fantasy of what I want to be the reality right now for the actual reality. And so what I'm working on right now, and you might relate to this as well if you're perpetually positive and find yourself, instilling these new boundaries and standards for the quality of connection, and people make great promises and they show they understand, but then nothing changes, or you revert back to the same old patterns. Basically, this is what I'm keeping my finger on the pulse of right now, and that is that do not just fall into the fantasy of, oh, we're on the same page, they understand, they took responsibility, they made these promises, that means we just move forward. No. That's all great, but you've got to trust actions over words all day long. And when you're somebody who wants to operate really quickly and get there like me, that can be very difficult to slow down and because you want to just have it in the fantasy of, yes, we're doing it, right? But that's got me into so many repeated relationships that have gone on for way too long. And basically I take responsibility for knowing that when we do that, when we jump to the fantasy of just their words and the no actions to prove, what we actually do is we prematurely reward them for what they've said, and they're no longer needing to actually change or do anything about it. Okay, so it's not just that they don't change or grow, it's that you're prematurely rewarding them. What's the point in them ever changing? All right, and so that's my added little focus right now. Particularly I'm doing this with my sister-in-law because she would want me to just add her straight back on Facebook and, and just go back to normal based on her acknowledgement and her love and her expressions and promises. But instead of doing that, I'm not doing that, and I'm going to see what changes we co-create with one another and potentially get back to a place like that, right? But at a higher level. So I challenge you guys to think about that in your own lives as well. Do you do that like me? I hope not. But if you do, I hope that you'll make a change and take responsibility for that and see that it doesn't work, all right? And if you need any, experiences of that, I've got a ton of them. So anyway, let me check in with you guys and see who's been able to join me today. Hope this has been of value to you. And I want to hear from you if you haven't commented. So drop me a comment, say hi. And I've got Peter in the house, and Trina, and Dee Marie, and Maria, and Tricia, and also Judith, and Terrell, and Bill. Much love to you, and Jose, and Joel, and Sean. Okay, I got time for this one. Hey again, good to have you here, my friend. Grateful to have you. And you just reminded me I haven't responded to a lot of the replies on my last video, and I know you pulled a card and it was very interesting, so I will get back to you. Love that. And Brian's here as well. And Sean, King of Cups for you this time. Oh, okay. Tell me more about what that is. I love that. Thanks for doing it, Sean. And Simon, boom, love it. Stay true to yourself. Reactive means irrational. The brain goes racing into fight or flight or freeze. Things get said that aren't healthy and often get said in the wrong way. Better to step away, breathe and calm yourself, then try to communicate respectfully and with love. Boom, absolutely. And you just brought up a really interesting point, because that's the other thing. Remember I mentioned, if you heard me, if you're here for it, when one of my brothers who was on the 50% that's not coming on the health journey with me, basically, I was shown by another family member all of the aggression, the attacks on my reputation, all of this negativity that he was talking about me, right? And trying to position himself as the victim, basically, and whatever. And on the other side, he sent me this like message that was basically saying, oh, are you okay? Like, you can always call me, you can always talk to me and all this stuff. And I was just like, I'm not engaging in this bullshit. That's as simple as that, right? And also we have to recognize that some of us are dealing with mental challenges, right? We're not the healthiest within ourselves, and it's also not the responsibility of us to have to placate to people who are not taking responsibility for their own mental health, right? We want to support those people, but we also have to realize we're not responsible for it, and we can't have healthy dynamics with those people until they're accepting, acknowledging, and working on their own patterns of disorder, all right? So I love that. And basically, what my old pattern would be in this dynamic, receiving this message from one of my brothers and realizing like this is not adding up. I know what he's saying behind my back, but he's presenting like this to my face, right? My old pattern would just be to kind of placate and just keep the peace and not want to create any unnecessary conflict, because I know that if I addressed the truth with this person, it would be a SHIT show. No joke, right? And I know it all too well. I've experienced it all my life. It's always happened, right? And so I knew that addressing the truth, all he wanted me to do was fawn, right? Like Simon just mentioned, you can fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? People please. And that was my general pattern, okay? And I just refused to. And I also realized I'm not going to speak to you unless I can speak the truth. And if I already know this particular person has shown me throughout their history and my history with them multiple times with multiple different circumstances and people, that they're not going to be able to understand me. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be abusive. And if I can't speak the truth, that's the result of the truth. It's not actually going to help the situation. I'm not going to say anything there. I've already said it with the letter. All right, that was my closure. I don't need to continue to engage. You never need to justify yourself. Normal people responded in the way that, not normal, I should say, healthy people responded in a way that will perpetuate health from this point of new truth and awareness. And unhealthy people will want to draw you back into playing a role, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Exactly. I love that you brought that up, Simon. Thank you so much for being here. And Keenan's here as well. And Dennis, amazing share. Thanks. I'm so grateful that this was great for you, Dennis. Always love you showing up. And Jonathan's here as well. And Nicole, awesome. And Sean. So it was the King of Cups, right? So it's about how people can present themselves on the outside different than on the inside and hide their true motives when it's negative. Upside is it can be about dealing with dark things and rising above them. Transformation into a better thing from dealing with the past correctly. Wow. Cool. Sounds like what you're talking about. King of Cups. Yes. Oh, I love that. Thanks so much for sharing that, Sean. I find it really interesting learning from all these different, modalities, right? Like I've dabbled in looking at the tarot and drawing some cards and things like that. And whatever you choose to believe about it, for what you can take from it is pushing up against your intuition and what insights you can get from what these things mean, right? And you can find meaning. And I think you guys should know by now, like, I really do believe that your fulfillment in life comes from the meanings that you can create for yourself, right? And so you can create really empowering pathways forward by all sorts of modalities. So Sean, I love that you bring that to our conversation today. It's awesome. And Jose, yay. Hello, Vanessa. I believe the smaller circle of people in our life, the less drama. Yeah, sometimes. This wasn't a very big circle and it was a hell of a lot of drama in it, but yeah, I get you. Don't feel guilty for cutting friends or family. Absolutely. When they don't get when they don't get what they want from you, then you become the black sheep. You get it. I've been working on studying your work. There is a lot of good stuff. I wish I could apply it on a daily basis. Oh, I'm grateful to hear that. In resume, don't let the haters destroy your good work and achievements. Nothing to lose and much to gain. Staying away from the toxic psychological environments. Hugs and hugs right back at you, Jose. I absolutely love that. And I love the points that you brought up here as well, because I know this is controversial, but I really do believe that just because somebody was born into your same bloodline, right, or you came from their bloodline, right, just because you have that, if they do not treat you in a way that you would select people in your life to be in your inner circle, why are you putting up with that, right? It's always out of obligation, right? You're more concerned about playing a role that you think you're supposed to, and what will anybody say about it, or, you know, being ostracized from a toxic environment. Who cares? Like this message is all about. You have nothing to lose and everything to stand to gain by removing your cog from a toxic system. If people don't treat you well, why are you there? And remember, it's always a reflection of how you feel about yourself as well. Okay, if you're allowing poor treatment, basically, like I said earlier, you're basically agreeing with those people's estimation of who you are. That's a reflection of what you believe about yourself. And the most challenging part of this is if those are family relationships that you've had all your life, usually you have looked to the outside world to deem how valuable you are. And like it's even harder to navigate out of those relationships because a lot of them have instilled your own personal set of beliefs about yourself. Okay, and so it's even more empowering to do that. I think, like Jose said, in terms of the small circle, you know, if you can navigate the most difficult relationships and transform them into healthy ones, and I believe those are with the people who are most longest standing in our lives, our parents in particular, our siblings, grandparents, aunties, cousins, whoever you've had a really long-term relationship with and has really kind of molded you throughout the whole experience of your life. If you can navigate those relationships in a healthy way, I am telling you, it is so much easier to recognize toxicity and not settle for it in any of your other relationships that come along and are presented to you. But rest assured, you need to take time to get to know people and let them show you through their actions, not their words, that they are truly healthy, growing individuals who value and respect you and themselves, and they're willing to take that responsibility and raise the bar for the standard and quality of connection that you engage with them. Okay, so I'm speaking this from, honestly, I feel like I'm speaking it to my past self, everything I would have loved my past self to really know in her heart of hearts. But I wouldn't get to this place of understanding without those experiences either. So guess you got to be grateful still, all right? And love that, Jose. Thank you so much. And Hoang is here as well. And dropping bombs and flexing muscles with Simon. I love it. And Sanford's here as well. Have to watch the replay. Yes, can't wait to hear your thoughts once you get a chance to watch this full message, Sanford. Appreciate you, my friend, and see you on the weekend. And Samuel's here as well. And John, awesome. And Arlen, hello to you, John. Good to see you, my friend. Can you do a video on how to help a narcissist? Oh, okay. You're speaking my language at the moment, right? Because okay, so here's my perspective on it. You might have seen my last video. I did 18 tactics to ensure that you don't perpetuate relationships with narcissistic characteristics. And I am studying mental health disorders at the moment, which is incredibly enlightening for me, who's been somebody who sees all the good and all the great and all the potential and, you know, all that stuff. And I've been completely blind to the darkness of our own humanity. And it's absolutely necessary for me to do what I'm doing. I'm even about to do a psychology degree. So that's what I've committed to. And the reason is that I know that is going to most empower me both personally and professionally. But here's why I had been resistant to psychology in the past. And that is because I didn't agree with the labels on people, because I feel like that's very fixed-minded, very limiting to people's identity. And if people are labeled in a certain way, they might not feel like they can ever exit that, right? And that can trap them. What I'm finding is it's important to understand the patterns of behavior that we label narcissistic, borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, all the disorders, right? It's important that we identify and we're able to label those. And I still do believe that there can be treatment and people can get beyond those labels. But I do believe that it's more about their nervous system regulation and all sorts of things that I'm intending on studying on a much deeper level to get some awareness around this. But what I will say is, I'll give you a recommendation, actually, a book that I just finished today. One of the best books I have ever read, and in particular around this topic. The book is called Stop Caretaking the Borderline or Narcissist, and the subtitle is How to End the Drama and Get On With Your Life. All right, and I found it so validating to my journey with what I've been going through and sharing with you guys recently. Now, the author of this book is Margalise Fujstand. I don't know how to say that, but I'll drop a comment for those of you who want access to the book. But I would really recommend, John, if you have somebody who is struggling with narcissistic characteristics in your life, that is the best book I've come across to really help you navigate the whole journey. Because what oftentimes we do that we are thinking is going to help somebody struggling with those characteristics in our lives oftentimes ends up being the thing that enables them and perpetuates them to continue to be in those unhealthy characteristics, and it robs us of a really genuine connection. Now, so this is a book that will help you to help a narcissist in your life, and also making sure that you're doing it in the healthiest way for you and not contributing to an unhealthy, toxic environment if you do want to be of any value. But this is the end game is there is nothing, like I really want you to get this, there is nothing that you can do or a certain way for you to be or be good enough or whatever it is in order to help that other person break free of their mental challenges, okay? Nothing you can do. The only thing that can help a narcissist transform is their want and desire to actually do so, and them doing the work, and you can support them without sacrificing yourself. But there is nothing you can do, I'm afraid, and this has actually really helped me to exit really toxic environments where I felt guilty and I just wanted to be of value and I just really wanted to make a difference in their lives, and I just, it was so deflating to me, because nothing, I could give my absolute best and nothing was ever going to be good enough. And if you don't realize that you can't control that, and you have no hope of changing or transforming anybody struggling with narcissism or certain other challenges, then you can make that mean something very detrimental about yourself. You can waste a hell of a lot of energy. You can waste your entire life and your potential in trying to do that and help these people. And so the best thing that you can do is recognize that that's totally out of your control. And it's only if that other person genuinely wants to take responsibility for their own patterns and transform that you could choose to support them on that journey, like I said, without sacrificing yourself. So I hope that that resource helps you, John. Reach out if I can support you further, because this is a big part of my journey, and I have dealt with, not knowingly, and only now as I understand these patterns and not mistake them for, just normal people's challenges, right? Basically, this has been the most enlightening thing in my life so far. And like I said, that's how I'm balancing myself out and the path I'm taking right now to do so, and to be able to be of better service to people who are taking responsibility for their growth, and they do want support, and they're the people who I am committed to serving, not those who are stuck in patterns that they have no intention of changing, all right, and can't take responsibility for. All right, that is my message for you guys. Last couple of comments. Oh, sorry, Paul, he's here, and Nash and Leonardo, and loving that you are agreeing with this message as well, Nash. Thank you so much for letting me know. I really hope that today's message has served you, has got you thinking about how you're handling toxic dynamics in your own life, where your cog is a part of a toxic system that you might need to remove, clean, clarify, communicate, and start a whole new system, and do the work that gives you the courage and the confidence to remove your cog without the fear of loss, all right, or any expectation of anybody else changing, okay? And that's the work that I do with my clients a lot of the time. Most of the time, it's always about these sort of relationship dynamics that need to be transformed. So if that's something that you're interested in, please do reach out to me. And if you do want to be a part of the Limitless Potential Academy, we meet every month or every 2 weeks, depending on what suits you best. And we deep dive into the topics of our lives, the challenges, the struggles. We get support, we get new perspectives. If you want to be surrounded by people who are actually reaching for their potential with health and acknowledgement, and they want to support and encourage you to do the same, to have each other's best interests at heart and be able to learn from one another. If you want to be a part of an environment like that, you can just shoot me a message and I'll shoot you over all the details, and you can decide if that's something that you want to be a part of. We have our next meeting this weekend. So yeah, it'd be a perfect time to come and join us in the Limitless Potential Academy if you're interested. And also you get access to a full library of a bunch of different masterclasses on all areas of personal development, everything that I have encapsulated on my own personal growth journey. So yeah, if you're interested in growing and connecting in meaningful ways and creating fulfillment and empowerment in your life, then that is an amazing community and group for you. All right. That is my message for each and every one of you guys. Thank you again so much for showing up, for contributing to this conversation, for giving me the opportunity to share what I feel is meaningful and the opportunity to hopefully serve you in some way. That's such a gift to me, so thank you for that. And I cannot wait to see you guys soon. So much love, and share this message if it is of value. Oh, and John, yes, I did see that video. I'm in a relationship with a narcissist woman. John, please get this book. Like I said, I will drop a comment to you on this post. So anybody who is struggling with a narcissist in their life, or somebody struggling with borderline personality disorder, if you're not familiar with what those things are, she does articulate exactly what they are, or you can look them up. It's very important that we understand not only human potential, human greatness, human goodness, we also have to understand the darkness in our humanity, so that we do not, try and treat, a symptom that is related to a totally different problem that we're never going to be able to resolve at that level of awareness, all right? So the book again is Stop Caretaking the Borderline or Narcissist, How to End the Drama and Get On with Life. And it's by Margulies Fischlestund. I don't know, but I'll drop you a comment, so don't bother with trying to work that one out or trying to spell that one out. All right, and Zahir here as well. So please, John, I'm telling you from my heart of hearts, this book is hands down the most perfect book for anybody in any type of relationship with somebody who is challenging, toxic in some ways, and you want to be of actual value to them, and create something that could either be healthy with them or without them, okay? I feel like I just entered that movie, what is that? Day and Night with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz. With me, without me. You might not know because you haven't seen the movie. All right, that's it for me. I'm taking off. Thanks again, guys, and I cannot wait to see you very, very soon.